Hello. I can just see over the screen barely. Here, let me move myself up. Hello. Thank you so much for coming. I mean, as you can probably tell, I'm a little bit nervous, but we'll see how this goes. Oh, thanks. Should probably move myself down a little bit. There we go. All right. So this is going to be a pretty short stream. My name is Kyndagh. It's been pretty funny seeing people try and pronounce it. It's a little difficult to explain in text, so I've been telling people they can call me Kin. It's a lot easier to pronounce than Kyndagh. As you might imagine, it's it's like DACH is kind of how I have it. But yeah, I'll get into that. All right, let's jump into it. I'll move myself down a little bit. Oh, that's not even though I'm skipping ahead. There we go. All right, great start. You didn't see anything. It's fine. All right, once again, hello everyone. My name is Kyndagh. I'm a cat she Vtuber, and I'll get into what that means a little bit because it's pretty unknown as to what that is by a lot of people, I think. So here's my little bio I wrote up here. Self-informational. I'm a cat she who came to Earth from the realm of the Fae out of boredom, and yes, that's the best reason. I came to Earth with the desire to play all, but probably not all. So there's a lot of the games. And I became a VTuber to share this goal with other enjoyers of games. Alright. So this is a little bit high level about me. As I already explained, my name is Kyndagh. It's a name that comes from the Manx language, which is kind of a derivative of Gaelic. You can just call me Kin, though. It's a lot easier. I'm about 4 feet, just shy of it, 1.2 meters. I wish I was less shy of it and was a little bit over it, but I mean, beggars can't be choosers. I am a cat she. All three of these are different spellings of what that is. Scottish versus Irish versus Gaelic. And there's slight differences there. Yeah. I don't have a birthday or age. And the reason for that is the age in the Fae realm, there's not really any aging. You're not birthed. You just come into existence fully aware. It's definitely not just because I don't want to say that I'm thousands of years old or anything. Totally not. So instead, a relevant date that people might care about, even though I don't actually really care about it at all and probably won't even celebrate it or anything, is my crossing dates from the Fae realm to Earth. And that was November 1st, 30 years ago, which November 1st is the day of Samhain, which is an old Gaelic festival and the origin of All Hallows Eve, which is what we it's now celebrate as Halloween. And it's basically the time when the barrier between Earth and the Fae realm is at its weakest. So it's a lot easier to cross then than if I were to cross over at any other date. So a little bit about what cat she are. We're not dark users of the Force. It's not Cait Sith. We are not evil Jedi, basically. Also, we are not all a character from Final Fantasy. In fact, that character actually was inspired by our species. So what we are, though, is a feline species of the Fae, which is what you humans refer to as fairies. But no, do not call me a cat fairy. I'm not a cat fairy. I don't see any wings on this back. We are borrowers of souls of the dead, not stealers, despite what popular belief is. A lot of humans think that we steal souls of the dead, and thus they protect their dead as they're burying them. But no, we just borrow them and then send them on afterwards. We are also, along with most of the Fae, shapeshifters. However, in comparison to, say, the likes of the Puka, which is another of the Fae, we're not quite as good as that. So you mostly stick to feline forms. We can do human-like forms, but they can be pretty difficult for us. I didn't want to get into too many facts here, because actually over on my Twitter, I did a little mini-series of daily cat she facts. So if you're interested in more cat she facts, you can go ahead and look over there. I don't want to take up too much time with stuff that I've already gone over there. So before I jump into more about me, I do want to highlight some artists who I've commissioned or who I've gotten permission from or that kind of stuff, who've helped me. So obviously, first and foremost is the artist and rigger of this model. So this is a virtual representation of me. I'm not actually a cartoon. I think most humans would find my real form probably unsettling, just because a 4-foot cat walking on hind legs in person is pretty scary looking. So this cartoon form helps me look less unsettling, let's just say. So the artist and rigger of this model is Saf over on Twitter. She does some really awesome and very unique work. She has a very unique art style. And that's actually in particular why I decided to reach out to her. The model was actually originally intended just for me to mess around in VR chat. However, she set it up so well that it was actually really easy to convert over to VR, which was nice. Next one is Hypernoxic, who you may have seen some of the work of on the starting screen. They're the ones who did the background landscape over on that starting screen, as well as for the screen that I use for my AFK and my end screen. It's really beautiful. Honestly, if you want to see the full art, I do have it posted on my Twitter as well, and I'll show it off a little bit at the end of this as well. Third person I want to thank is Mekon, who you also may have heard some of the work of. They're the creator of the starting and end songs that I use. They seem to focus mostly on orchestral music and such. They haven't done much in the way of music for a while, but they do still have a YouTube and that they have those songs on, as well as a active Twitter. Lastly, I also want to thank 610 Art and Hoopion, again over on Twitter. They are the creators of my emotes. With 610 Art mostly doing the static emotes, and Hoopion mostly doing some of the animated emotes. They're both insanely cute, honestly. I do have a few more credits for artists. I specifically wanted to call out these ones just because their assets will oftentimes appear on stream or that kind of thing. But the other artists who I have credited can be seen below the stream, actually. So, high level, some of my preferences. You'll probably notice off the bat, this is an unusual anime list. To be honest, I don't watch too much anime. As this list may kind of give away. One of my favorites is Blend S, which I'm disappointed will probably never have a second season. But it's a really good slice of life anime. I don't know. I can't explain too much why I like it. I also like Lucky Star as a slice of life anime, and honestly, they are pretty similar to each other in terms of the kind of mood that I get out of them. Secondly, Naruto Shippuden. Again, as being a pretty casual anime watcher, it's just kind of explains why it's on this list. But I watched basically all of original Naruto as well as Naruto Shippuden. And honestly, Naruto Shippuden basically just is Naruto, but without the large amount of flaws that are in Naruto. Other than, obviously, there's still a decent amount of filler. And then lastly is Ruby, and I have Yes, I Know here for several reasons, because A, yes, I know that some people don't consider it an anime since it's created in the United States. Also, yes, I know that it is a super flawed anime with like significant animation issues early on, significant writing issues all throughout. It's just the fight scenes early on really captivated me, as well as insanely good character design. Like, I've never seen an anime or anything, even in passing, that has intrigued me with the character design as much as Ruby. Again, I understand that it may not be necessarily technically an anime, but I think it fulfills going in this area on the list. As far as music goes, again, this is, from what I've seen of other VTubers, this is pretty unusual list. Generally, you'll see J-pop, K-pop, and then a bunch of artists of those varieties. But my tastes are much more traditional, I guess. So classic rock is some of my favorite, and that was, honestly, that's probably largely because that's a lot of the music that I heard when I originally crossed over to Earth. If I had to choose a specific artist of classic rock to call out that as my favorite, it would probably almost certainly be Queen. Both Freddie Mercury and, well, all right, now I'm for David Bowie. Yeah, both. No, not David Bowie. It's fine. I totally remember, but yeah, Freddie Mercury and beyond Freddie Mercury both were great. So Nintendo music I specifically have here. So I like a lot of video game music. Honestly, you'll see that as a common trend throughout this, but I have a high passion for games in general. But Nintendo in particular just has consistently amazing music. My favorites, if I had to choose any from Nintendo, would be probably Splatoon first, both 1 and 2, as well as a lot of the Zelda games just have really good soundtracks. Third one kind of ties into this a little bit is orchestral music, and I'm not talking about classical orchestral. I'm talking about things like John Williams, Halo, Pirates of the Caribbean, basically pretty epic movie and game themes that are super iconic. And then lastly, I do like some J-pop. Not too much, and honestly, more of the ones that tend to be like classic rock or honestly less poppy. For example, as far as one that's more like classic rock, Rocky is a very good song. It's pretty popular as well. So you'll see here, I just have games listed and no specific games. And the reason for that is that I like too many games to choose like a couple. So instead, I actually just have another point after this where I go into favorite game of each genre, because that seems like the better way of breaking it down, because I like so many genres. Sorry, needed to take a drink of water. Also, let me go ahead and start background music, because I actually forgot to do that. There we go. All right, let me know if that's too loud or just right while I'm talking. So, as far as miscellaneous likes and dislikes, honestly, these are basically all pretty simple to explain. I love dragons. Dragons are amazing. They're some of the most epic creatures. And honestly, I would say that I do like Western dragons, aka European dragons, more than I tend to like Eastern dragons. Just honestly, just preference in design. I do drink a lot of milk. Honestly, I probably drink more milk than water. Which, to be fair, I drink mostly skim milk, so some people might say that's basically just water anyways. I love soft things. I mean, I have basically 6 different blankets that I use between my bed and chair at all times. I also have some plushies, although to be honest, I mostly buy those for the look rather than for like holding or anything. And then, of course, last but not least, my fur is also soft. Plus of myself being a soft thing. The last one here is a little unusual. I like game design quite a bit, in addition to just playing games. For my day job, actually, I do game design consultation and have worked on many games from Flash games to AAA. Just as a kind of a background. So you won't see Kyndagh in any of the credits. As far as dislikes, so spicy things, I don't necessarily dislike spicy things. It's more I literally cannot handle spicy things. Both because just mild is spicy for me, and also because my feline digestive tract does not handle spicy things at all. It actually gets painful. If I could, I would probably eat more spicy things. For example, I do like Indian curry. However, that is one of the worst things for causing actual pain when I consume it. Ants are the literal worst insect, and that sounds weird considering things like hornets, mosquitoes, other biting insects exist. But ants are just like, most of those are one-off things that are pretty easy to get rid of or pretty easy to keep away. But once ants come into play, they're just actually obnoxious to try and get rid of. I have once had an ants colony for almost a month that was just a struggle to get rid of, and holy crap. So, backseating. I don't know that there's a single streamer who likes backseating, but I absolutely detest backseating, which kind of ties into my game design and that's because like half the point of video games is discovering things on your own. It kind of removes some of the fun if people are just telling you everything before you even get to it. So, yeah, I'll be kind of harsh on backseating. I will say there are times that it's okay, specifically, obviously, if I ask questions, or if for some reason I am completely missing something that should be super obvious. However, do that at your own risk, because I may just be choosing to do my own thing instead. So, getting into games, as I alluded to. So I'll be going genre by genre. And honestly, I expect you to see a lot of unusual choices here. So, starting with strategy, this is almost certainly a very unusual choice, especially considering I just previously said I'm not a huge anime fan. I admittedly do not enjoy many strategy games. In particular, I do not have the mind for real-time strategy games. I probably play as good as an 8-year-old if I'm trying to play StarCraft, for example. I do like turn-based strategy games a little bit more. For example, I do enjoy Civilization. However, Valkyria Chronicles just has the benefits of a turn-based game with combat, troop regulation, just good story, fun gameplay. It's just all around very solid. And that includes Valkyria Chronicles 4, which, to be fair, I never actually managed to finish, but was fun when I played it. again, another very unusual choice. My favorite shooter of all time is sort of a classic, Wolfenstein Enemy Territory, which is a online-only FPS free-to-play that was released, probably close to 20 years ago, I would imagine. But just has very unusual gameplay, unusual objectives, really good balance, a lot of diversity of classes, and yeah, I highly recommend it, even though it's a little outdated at this point, especially with the graphics. So my favorite racing game is Trackmania Nations Forever. Trackmania in general is a very good series. Trackmania Nations Forever, I think, felt... So I still play the modern Trackmania games, but Trackmania Nations Forever just holds sort of a soft spot in my heart with how good the physics were, the online play. It was sort of a turning point in the franchise. So roguelike, and I have this highlighted for a specific reason, and that's because roguelike is easily my favorite genre of game, and there are so many that I enjoy, so it was honestly kind of difficult to choose one. But I did choose one, and it's Crypt of the Necrodancer, and that honestly, it's largely because the music is just amazing. If you haven't played Crypt of the Necrodancer, or the kind of spiritual sequel of Cadence of Hyrule, I highly recommend both. So, kind of harkening back to my strategy, I'm also not a huge fighting game fan. And these are basically the two genres that I'm not a huge fan of. I'm also trash at fighting games. For example, Tekken, Street Fighter. No. I'm god-awful. Mortal Kombat. But Super Smash Bros. 4 and Super Smash Bros. In general doesn't have quite as high of a skill wall to get over. And honestly, CPU play of this is just super fun, which is also unusual. Considering most fighting games, the CPU is kind of a dick, basically. So Battle Royale, you'll see the word Apex Legends probably a decent amount on my stream, even though I do intend to play a large variety of games. I've played Apex Legends since, I believe, launch day, and have played it probably more days than I have not played it since that launch day. It's just... I enjoy its higher time to kill. I enjoy the movement. I enjoy the gunplay. Yeah. Another unusual choice. My favorite platformer is a indie game called Cluster Truck. I do enjoy Mario games though quite a bit, but Cluster Truck is just unique. It's short experience, but it's very fun to play over and over again. I do not actually enjoy most Sonic games, which is why those weren't in the running, but it was a little difficult to choose between Cluster Truck and Mario games for sure. So harkening back to Nintendo there a little bit is my action-adventure favorite game. Again, this is a little difficult to choose from because I do enjoy quite a bit of action-adventure games. Witcher 3 was one of my more favorite Western, I guess it's an RPG, so it doesn't really count. But yeah, I chose Zelda Breath of the Wild because my experience while playing that was just so incredibly unique that it's hard to beat. It felt kind of like, I don't know. A lot of modern games, I don't really necessarily have the experience of adventure or uniqueness. And Breath of the Wild... Oh, I just realized my head's in the way. Breath of the Wild kind of gave that to me, which I hadn't experienced for a while. My favorite MMO, and this is probably a game, honestly, a lot of people haven't even heard of, despite being a long-running MMO, and that's Dungeons & Dragons Online, which is not Neverwinter, Dungeons and Dragons Online. I played that for years upon release, and a little bit into when it finally went free to play. But yeah, it's just impressive amount of customization as far as your builds go. A lot of encouraged grouping up, even at early levels, at least there used to be. That's actually one of my complaints nowadays, is that it's gotten a lot easier. But yeah, I might play that on stream at some point again, just to dip my toes back into it. So my favorite RPG, I did mention Witcher 3, but that was not what made my favorite RPG. My favorite RPG was Tales of Berseria. I've enjoyed a lot of Tales games since Tales of Symphonia, which was my first. But Tales of Berseria just blew it out of the water, in my opinion. Hey, thank you, Zhao. Tales of Berseria just has amazing character design, like character background, as well as the designs themselves. It has a very unique story. A lot of Tales games tend to follow sort of a similar, what's the term? Formula. But Berseria just, oh my god. There has not been a game that has made me cry for a long time, but Tales of Berseria managed to do that. It's just a very emotional story and very well told. So I put sports in quotations here because some people might not define this as a sports game. And I actually don't play too many sports games, which is probably why this is the choice. But Rocket League, I have put thousands of hours into Rocket League, and honestly, a lot of that was just spent fucking around in training, in like free practice mode. Because it just has amazing movement. It's simple, but it's got a high skill ceiling. It's an insanely well designed game. Juby, I highly recommend finishing Berseria. Yeah, the characters are just insanely good. Like I mentioned, a lot of the Tales games kind of fall into a safe trap of telling the same story slightly different each time. But I felt like Berseria kind of broke away from that a little bit. So my favorite Sandbox game is Terraria. And before someone says, no, that's not just 2D Minecraft, it's very different from Minecraft. Despite the fact that it looks basically just like a 2D Minecraft. It has probably one of the best feeling progression systems of any Sandbox game. Which is honestly impressive when you consider that there's some Sandbox RPGs, Sandbox adventure games, which both of those genres are entirely about progression and a good feeling progression. But Terraria is just like, I don't know, it just scratches an itch that I've never felt from another Sandbox game. And I'll probably play this on stream, honestly, pretty soon upcoming, because I've been getting that itch again. So rhythm game, my favorite is Beat Saber. There's not much to say there. Simple game, high skill ceiling, very easy to play, but can get quite difficult if you're playing some Expert Plus songs. And then lastly, but not least, well, actually least, in fact, is horror. No. I do not do horror. I do not enjoy getting scared. Even roller coasters, my enjoyment is not from the sphere. Yeah, no horror. Nope. So, I do have some goals, but not many. And no like real numbers goals, like X number of subs, X number of follows, etc. I don't really care much about that. But yeah, my first one is I want to foster a small community, whether that be on here, on Discord, both. Yeah, I don't really care. I just want to find a good group of people to talk with, and who I enjoy hanging out with and everything. So yeah, again, thank you everyone for coming. Your follows and everything are great starts for that, to be honest. And I hope to see you guys around more, and hopefully build that community. As probably has been determined from my hammering on about games, I do want to try out many games. There's actually been a lot of games that I have come out that I've been interested in, but have held off on playing. So I'm hoping to try out a lot of those, even if it's just for a couple hours each. My third one doesn't sound hard, which is just stream regularly. But for me, that'll probably be pretty difficult, because it's pretty difficult for me to actually do anything regularly. I've gotten a good start by tweeting regularly, which has come difficult to me because I am not a social media person. But yeah, I want to at least stream a few times every week. However, obviously my previously mentioned consulting work might sometimes get in the way, but maybe at least a short hour of stream or something, even if I am busy, just to keep up that consistency. And lastly is I want to commission more things. So commissioning is great because it's a win-win. I get to both support independent artists as well as I get some great art and music out of it. And it is arguably a third win as well, because fuck NFTs, commissions are infinitely better than NFTs. Fuck NFTs, by the way. So let me transition over to a green screen here so you can see a little bit more of me. There we go. Oh, thank you, Cat. Here we go. Alright. So I have a few different outfits. This is probably the outfit I'll use most often, which is kind of just a casual outfit. You can see here a tail reveal. You got my back. Yeah, just some simple things. Before I show off a couple of my other outfits, let me go ahead and get a little closer to the camera here. And show you some of my expressions, which I haven't had the opportunity to use yet. So this is my normal standing resting face. Luckily there's no resting bitch face. That'd be kind of weird if I was a cat and had resting bitch face, considering that would be a dog. But yeah. So here's me smiling a little bit. Yeah, this is just me happy. And then I can be angry, folding my ears back. And then, as I mentioned earlier, if I have a sad moment in a game, I can cry. I doubt I'll be crying too much though, but maybe. And then lastly, the shock. As well as kind of fear. However, like I mentioned, no horror. So again, hopefully I won't be too fearful or anything. So yeah, you probably won't see that face too much either. Let me go ahead and scoot down a little bit. All right, here you go. This is somewhat of a variant of my casual, which is kind of just a more modern outfit with a hoodie. You can see I have actually a kind of like a half kilt there. But yeah, I've got a hoodie. And let me go down once again. And then this is my last outfit, which is kind of a more traditional outfit, with a linen top with a Celtic symbol on it, Celtic knot, as well as some simple breeches, a belt with a dagger at it. Yeah. I probably won't use this one too much, just because, yeah, I don't know. I kind of like my more casual outfit a little bit more. But for certain games, that makes sense to have a more traditional outfit. Maybe I'll do this. All right, let me go ahead and change back. Here we go. All right. And then this is Hyper's landscape art that I use for my screens. I just wanted to show it off here because it's so cute. Again, this is a little bit of a crop, so yeah. Anyways, that's basically all I had, so yeah. Thank you for coming, and thank you for listening to me blabber on.